Hello everyone and welcome to blaugranaeverything and welcome back to the channel and welcome to yet another match review for what was yet another impressive victory for FC Barcelona. You could even say that it was a statement victory here by FC Barcelona because they just went to a venue in the Civitas Metropolitano where nobody has been winning this season, okay? And in fact, teams like Real Madrid and Inter Milan both lost there. In fact, Real Madrid were comfortably spanked at the Civitas Metropolitano, but Barcelona just left there with a 3-0 victory, guys. 3-0. Like, you know, three of them things. How would I not be happy? Of course, I'm a Barcelona fan who is happy. Now, I will be the first to hold up my hands and to admit that the 3-0 scoreline is maybe a little bit more flattering than, you know, how things actually did play out. I mean, if we look at even just the XG, we can tell that, you know, maybe Barcelona was closer to the neighborhood of 2 goals than 3 goals. But hey, the deciding factor here is something which has been lacking for Barca for most of the season, but which is finally starting to come through in this season, which is being clinical with chances. And that's the reason why Barca scored 3 times and Atleti didn't, because quite honestly, Atleti should have scored at least maybe even 2 goals in this game. But we'll get more into that as we do the match review. If this is your first time here though, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also hit the like button. Alright, go ahead somewhere down there, subscribe, you know, over here, like, go ahead and do that. And what we're going to do, this being a match review, is I'm going to give you my negatives and positives from this performance. Then I will go ahead and give the team rating and the manager rating before giving you my man of the match. Alright? Okay, let's go ahead now and start with some negatives, because sure, this was a 3-0 victory at the Metropolitano, which is crazy, like I've just been trying to emphasize, but you know, we do have to put a but in there, you know, not a butt implant, just a but. We do have to say that the start from Barca this time around was nowhere near as good as it was against Napoli, and that Barcelona were pretty lucky not to have conceded pretty early on. You know, there were quite a few giveaways Barca had in their own half, and Barrios could have easily found the net for Atleti and it would have been a different story. I'm going to admit that, and that's something which I feel has to come in the negatives, because Barcelona needed to establish themselves in this game a lot earlier than they did. In fact, it took Barca until about, I think maybe the 25th or the 30th minute before they started to finally look like, you know, they were getting comfortable and they started to finally have some forays into Atleti's half and to look threatening. And brings me probably to my next negative, which I felt, you know, Xavi did maybe just a teensy-wincy bit get away with here. That was the setup, because I think in some ways the setup contributed to that poor start that we're talking about. And I'm not trying to say this to, like, you know, pick on Sergio Roberto or anything like that, but his first half was pretty poor, and Fermin as well, it took him a while to get going. And it just felt like Barcelona missed the presence of Gundogan higher up the pitch and the presence of Christensen, you know, a bit further back as a holding midfielder. Now, whether or not Christensen was injured, I do not know. He was on the bench from what I could tell, but Xavi didn't put him on. So, you know, maybe he has a slight knock. Maybe they're just trying to rest him because he's playing for Denmark. But, you know, this was like a must-win game. So, like, I don't really know what's going on there. So I'm going to just have to fault Xavi for that selection, which I felt wasn't maybe the best, even though, you know, when Barcelona finally did click into gear, you know, it was mostly because of the work of Fermin and of Sergio Roberto higher up that pitch that Barcelona was able to score the first 2 goals that they scored. Okay, now for the negatives, let's go on to positives. And my first positive is, of course, going to be, like I had said, Barcelona were clinical here. I do not remember the last time I have seen a Barca team this clinical. And look, during the first half, there was a bit lacking in as far as, you know, that ball into the final third and those decisions being made to get into the final third. But when Barcelona finally got that right, you know, we saw that wonderful goal, first of all, for Joao Felix, which, you know, was created by a lot of good work by Hector Fort, by Ilkay Gundogan, who during that passage of play found himself higher up the pitch. and of course Lewandowski, who did get the assist, and yeah, Joao Felix, who got the goal. So it was brilliant play from everyone there. And generally, like I said, Barca were clinical with their chances. The only chance that I could think of that I would say maybe they wasted is there was like a couple of times when Fermin and Lewandowski both ran in behind, and Fermin had his shot on his weaker foot, but it was saved by Oblak, and Lewandowski kind of fired wide of the post. It was like, it ended up being a terrible shot. Nowhere near as good as the shot he took for his goal, which, honestly speaking, Lewandowski has had some filthy goals the past month, month and a half maybe. But I think this one for me is probably the best of the bunch. Better than the Napoli one, better than the Celta one. Because if you just look at it again, like, the angle, how he hit it, moving away from goal and just in off the post, it was a wonderful finish. And aside from that, my next positive though, once again, I have to give it up to La Masia, because one thing about Barcelona is defensively they have looked a lot more solid since that time when, Xavi announced that he's going to be walking away from the job. And the reason why isn't because Xavi is walking away from the job. I believe it's because a certain young man named Pau Cubarsí finally started to get regular minutes. He became a starter basically for Barcelona. With Araujo and Koundé recovering their form next to Pau Cubarsí, it's meant that Barcelona can play a proper offside trap. And man, how many times has Barcelona been catching dangerous fast forwards like Osimhen and Morata offside now, which is a great development. And another youngster today came through in the form of Hector Fort, although he limped off again because, it's Barca. It makes sense that when a player comes on and does well, he ends up limping off the pitch. Hopefully it's not something too serious. It's just, fatigue or, strain. And Hector Fort as well had a solid performance. And, you're just looking at him, you're looking at Cubarsí, you're looking at Fermin, and how all of them once again come in clutch. Fermin with that third goal for Barca, which really killed off the match as a competition. And you can't help but just, give it up for La Masia. And La Masia once again has to go down as a positive for us from this performance. And my last positive, which I'm going to squeeze in here, is actually going to be Xavi's tactics. Because yes, like I admitted, okay, I didn't agree with the setup from Xavi, but in the game he was able to make some adjustments, which I feel paid off for Barca and got us the win. Like I had said, for example, on that first goal, you saw Gundogan pushing forward, and I think that was an instruction that, when we're in Atleti's half, just go ahead and push forward. It left us open to the break, sure, but you're trusting in Cubarsí, you're trusting in Araujo, who, by the way, handled both Morata and Memphis Depay pretty well. Okay, so we can use that to transition into our team ratings. And first and foremost, I have to say, once again, it was a good team performance. And I should in fact give some credit here to a man who is much maligned by a certain sect of Barcelona fans. In fact, he is controversially the most divisive player in Barcelona's squad. And I say it's controversial because I don't even see why he should be divisive. I'm talking about Marc-Andre ter Stegen, and this clean sheet, as much as I'm giving credit to Araujo, to Koundé, to Cubarsí, to Hector Fort, this clean sheet is really down to ter Stegen, because there was that double save from Llorente and Memphis Depay, and then he made another save later on as well. I think it was from Correa, from shots that were really going to go into the back of the net. There was no argument about it. Those shots were goal bound, they were going to go in, and especially that save on Llorente. My goodness, you just have to go and watch that back in case you didn't see it live. But I wonder what the ter Stegen haters are still going to say even after that kind of a performance, after those big saves that he made. Anywho, on to the team ratings, and I am going to give the team, like I did against Napoli, a 9 out of 10 here, because I felt that it was a pretty good showing from everyone, like I have said. Even, in the second half especially, everyone just came to life and everyone pulled their weight, everyone did their part, everyone did their job. And same for Xavi, despite the fact that he got sent off, so he's suspended for our next match, which is, I guess a bummer in itself. But with Xavi, you always run that risk that is going to happen with how he confronts referees. Yeah, we'll put it that he confronts referees. So against Las Palmas, he's not going to be available. Should be pretty interesting because Las Palmas is a tricky opposition. But yeah, for him though, I still think he did a great job here. He coached a 3-0, which, you know, I'm happy for him. He should have got a 3-0 as well at Montjuic against Atleti, but he got it here and maybe he shouldn't have, so I guess it cancels out. Anywho, 9 out of 10 for Xavi as well. And that just leaves us with picking the man of the match, and with a goal and 2 assists, it could only be Robert Lewandowski. I felt that this is the most Lewandowski I've ever seen Lewandowski be, and he really could have had 3 assists in this game, because Rafinha was, you know, he wasted a brilliant chance that Lewandowski created for him with a wonderful cross, and he basically repeated that cross from the other side when, you know, he assisted Fermin. And like I said, it was just honestly class day, class performance from Robert Lewandowski, you know, masterclass, I guess like the kids would say. And for all the things that he hasn't done right this season, I think this match was like a microcosm of him doing it right. So, you know, let's appreciate that. Man of the match, Robert Lewandowski. Aside from that, guys, that's basically that. I thank you all for tuning in. This was a big win going into the international break. Barcelona now move into the top 2 places, you know. Finally, we can stop looking above us at Girona. Yeah, you know, yeah. But, you know, like I said, it was a wonderful performance from Barca. Of course, Girona is just around the corner. I do believe that FC Barcelona will be playing them after Paris Saint-Germain, or is it after? Oh no, never mind. They'll be playing them after Real Madrid and after Valencia and all of them teams. So never mind what I just said. But it was still a big win that took Barca into 2nd place, and hopefully they can just, you know, claw back some points on Real, just so it's respectable at the end of the season. Alrighty. Aside from that, I thank you all for tuning in. Do have a great day, and Forza Barça.